Okay, so when you think of a library, what's the first image that pops into your head? Maybe quiet stacks of books, right? Well, that mental picture is about to get a serious, high-tech overhaul. In this explainer, we're going to dig into how our libraries, archives, and museums are being completely reimagined by technology and what we, as a society, need from them now. And this isn't just a minor tweak or a fresh coat of paint. The source material calls this a historic inflection point. We're talking about a fundamental shift, really, driven by this perfect storm of artificial intelligence, a huge demand for open and free knowledge, and a world that is just starving for information it can actually trust. So what does come next? What is the library or the archive or the museum of the near future actually going to look and feel like? Let's break it down. To really understand where we're headed, we've got to start by popping the hood. We're kicking things off with the deep technical changes, the new wiring, if you will, that's making this whole transformation even possible. First up, search. Now, think about the old way, right? You type a few clunky keywords into a search bar and just kind of hope for the best. Well, that's quickly becoming ancient history. The future is all about conversation. Thanks to AI, you'll be able to have a genuine dialogue with the library's entire collection, asking really complex questions and getting smart, contextual answers back. But AI's job here goes way beyond just search. You can think of it as having three main gigs. First, there's what we just talked about, that intelligent discovery. The second is automating the absolutely massive job of cataloging new stuff. And the third, and this is just incredible, is prediction. The AI will actually be able to analyze trends to predict what resources a community will need before anyone even asks for them. Okay, this slide shows the biggest change most of us will never even see, but it's the bedrock for everything else. For decades, library data was stored in a format called MARC. Just think of it like a digital card catalog, kind of flat, isolated, and stuck in its own little box. We're now moving to something called BibFrame and linked data. And the difference is huge. We're going from an isolated filing cabinet to a connected, intelligent social network, but for knowledge. So how does this whole social network for knowledge actually tick? Well, it's built on a simple idea called an RDF triple. Now, it sounds super technical, but it's really just a simple sentence that a computer can read. It has three parts: a subject, a predicate, and an object. Like, the Mona Lisa, that's the subject, was created by the predicate, Leonardo da Vinci, the object. This simple structure is a total game changer because it lets computers understand not just facts, but the relationships between facts, weaving together this incredible global web of knowledge. Of course, creating this massive interconnected web of data comes with a huge responsibility. And that's why protecting your privacy is being built into the system from the ground up. And we're not just talking about policies, we're talking about new tech, things like zero-knowledge proofs, which can, for example, prove that you're a student without ever telling the system who you are. It's what's known as privacy by design. So, with this new engine room all wired up and ready to go, what can we build with it? Well, that brings us right to our next section, creating a truly global, open highway for information. This right here is a true game changer. For so long, most of the world's best research has been locked behind ridiculously expensive paywalls. That whole model is now crumbling. The projection is that by 2030, and that is just around the corner, most new scholarly articles will be open access, free, for anyone. It's a gigantic leap towards making knowledge available to everybody. And this big move to openness isn't just happening one way. It's a whole movement. There's several different paths. You've got models like Diamond OA, which is totally free for both writers and readers. There's a growing preprint culture where research gets shared before the formal review process. And libraries are making these new transformative deals with publishers to flip the whole system on its head. And it's not just about the final article either. The raw data behind the research is also being opened up, thanks to something called the FAIR principles. This is actually becoming a requirement from research funders all over the world. It basically ensures data is findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable, which is just going to supercharge the pace of discovery for everyone. So what does all this mean for the librarians themselves? Well, their role is getting a radical upgrade. They're not just the guardians of collections anymore. They're becoming true partners, embedded right inside research teams, acting as data experts, search gurus, and in a lot of cases, even co-authors on papers. We've seen the new tech. We've seen the global network. Now let's get to the payoff. How does all of this completely change the library's role in our communities? It's all about becoming the new town square. The library is really evolving into essential social infrastructure. And this goes so far beyond just books. We're talking about makerspaces with 3D printers, hubs for social workers and legal aid, centers for digital skills training, and archives for local and indigenous heritage. It's becoming this vibrant, active hub designed to serve the whole community. The experience of the library itself is getting a sci-fi twist too, thanks to immersive tech like VR and AR. I mean, imagine putting on a headset and visiting a rare book collection from your own living room, or using your phone for AR directions that literally guide you to the exact shelf you need, or examining a fragile artifact as a perfect 3D model that you can turn over in your hands. But, these incredible possibilities also bring up some really big questions. As we build these new virtual worlds, how do we make sure they're fair and accessible to everyone, not just people who can afford the fancy hardware? How are they going to be governed? And how do we protect our privacy when this tech can literally track our every virtual move? When you zoom out and look at the big picture, the library's evolving mission lines up perfectly with a global framework. Its work is a powerful engine for achieving the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, from promoting quality education to reducing inequalities by closing the digital divide, to building stronger institutions by guaranteeing free access to information. So, who's going to build this incredible future? That brings us to our final section, the people, the skills, the architects of this new era. The skill set that's needed now is changing dramatically. The information professional of 2035 is part data scientist, part AI ethicist, part user experience designer, and part cybersecurity expert. The real magic is combining those timeless values of librarianship, service, access, intellectual freedom with a whole new suite of cutting-edge technical skills. But beyond any one specific skill, whether it's coding in Python or engineering AI prompts, the single most important attribute is a deep commitment to continuous learning. The tech will always change, and what the community needs will always evolve. The ability to adapt, well, that's everything. And this quote just nails it. It gets right to the heart of the matter. The core mission of the library isn't changing, ensuring equitable access to information for all. But as we've seen, the methods, the tools, and the spaces we use to get that job done, they are being transformed beyond all recognition. So we've seen the engine room getting rewired, the creation of a global knowledge highway, and the library being reborn as a true community hub. All the pieces are already in motion. The only question left is when you walk through those doors, whether they're physical or virtual, what will you discover?